Good evening. My name is Daniel Pinkston, and in today's video, we are going to explore my Emacs Lisp functions that interact with the minimal image viewer NSXIV. Let's take a look at their GitHub. So this is a pretty minimal piece of software right here. It's literally just displays images in a grid or in a full screen with kind of like a status bar at the bottom. It's pretty neat and I like it. It's very convenient for quickly viewing wallpaper or something like that. So here I can show you my wallpaper script. I can pick a directory that shows images. It's a pretty simple script that just pipes things through dmenu and has the input go through NSXIV. And it has the suckless software philosophy of input and output, so it works pretty well with things like dmenu and echo. So you can pipe a list of images into it, and it works pretty well. Let's pick a wallpaper right here. And I just set the background with fe, and then we get a nice background here, matches our theme. So let's talk about the functions that I wrote for interacting with this. So it's about, let's see, 50 lines of Emacs Lisp that could be condensed probably. It's not really the best code, but it works pretty well for what it does. And basically all I needed to do is just pipe an Emacs process out to the image viewer and then show me the files. So let's get into like a kind of like a demo here. So we're gonna go into my wallpaper folder, and we're gonna do Control-C OI for Open Image Viewer, and we get a prompt here for the directory, and we'll click the wallpaper directory, of course. And recursive searching, basically NSXIV has like a flag that's called -R. It allows for recursive finding of files, so I'm gonna click yes. And I added functionality in Emacs to output the marked files, so NSXIV has marks, so you can mark files, and then when you quit the program, it'll log them to standard out. So I'll go ahead and click yes so I can show you how it works. So we can put this in like a tab mode here. So I can scroll down over here to the wallpaper I had earlier. Yeah, let's see this one. So I can mark it or something like that, and then move on to the next one. We got this one with the red square. And let's see, this strange chicken, or I guess rooster. And over here we got, let's see, a hobbit hole. And then we'll go ahead and quit the program. And we got all these file names, so we could, if we wanted to, just copy these, put them in a new buffer or something like that, and then just save them into a file, or interact with them any other way that we needed to. And it just gives you the full path, which is pretty nice. Then I would also like to show you this other feature where I can put marked files from DIRED into the Emacs directory editor into the image viewer itself. So I would do the same command as earlier, Control-C OI, and it outputs the 4 marked files I put onto the image viewer. That's pretty neat. I haven't added any features for continuing to filter that, but you could do something like in the landscape directory we can see here, I can use DIRED's feature of marking with regex to find files that have that begin with the word autumn and mark them interactively like that. And then I could do Control-C OI to view all the ones that begin with autumn. So you can see autumn and lake, autumn castle, autumn Fujisan. That's pretty great. You can see that this is all just convenient eLisp right here. So we got this, one of these helper functions called image browser choose. So if I run image browser choose, I can do this and it'll do the prompt that we had before. So that's that feature. And I kind of broke it up into 2 segments. One that does the marks, and one that does the choosing. So if you didn't like this functionality for some reason, you could literally just, I guess, delete this function and this function and only keep this part. Another thing I'd like to add is that NSXIV has the -T flag for thumbnail mode, which is the default for this. I prefer to see my images and thumbnails when I put them in a group like this. That's kind of the point of it. If I really wanted to just bring up a single image, I would just do NSXIV pictures wallpaper, and then I guess we could do the Gen 2 wallpaper and just view it like that. So an interesting problem I came across was that the dired marked files function would return something even though there wasn't anything marked. So if I go ahead and evaluate this helper function that is bound to this key in the dired mode map, I can click Z. It'll message me the output of the function, which is this image path here, even though there's nothing marked. So I don't really like this because nothing is marked, and it makes no sense for this to be returning something that's marked even though there's nothing there. But I guess it's just because my cursor is at the point where there's a file name, so it's like, oh, I guess this file's marked or something like that. As far as I can tell, this is intended behavior, so we're not really going to change anything about that by submitting a patch or something like that. But I will do something instead. I will add this extra condition that checks if the list returned by this function is greater than 1, because it'll always return one thing if you're on a dired path, I suppose. And if there's greater than one item in the list, that means that there will be enough things to send to NSXIV. So if I go ahead and run this again with the condition, it'll show that there's 2 items in the list, but if I do this without that, it won't show anything, which is great. That's exactly what we need. So if we go back to the media file, you can see that I've added this condition in when checking for the initial conditions to run this browser mark function. So if I run this, it'll check first if there's actually more than one file marked. So if I would want to view a single image in NSXIV using the Emacs dired, I would just do and to run an async command, and I've set it up where NSXIV is like the first guess when it comes to running an external program on the file at point. So if I go ahead and click enter, it will just bring it up by itself like that. So if it doesn't run into this condition, it'll go to the next one and get the choose function, which is what we need if we're not selecting anything in dired. And I guess that's it. Thank you for watching.